Every word a thread in the trap she was weaving that night. She emailed the video to herself to ensure it was safe, then to his boss's family, and finally to the woman she had seen with him, with a short note that said, "He said he was working late, thought you should know where he really sleeps." She turned off her phone, locked herself in the bedroom, and listened to the chaos unfold. Hours later, when Mark came home, his face pale, his voice frantic. "Emma, what did you do?" She didn't answer. She just stood there, calm and distant. "I sent flowers, Mark. Remember, you love flowers." His anger cracked into pleading, but her eyes were hollow. She picked up her suitcase, already packed. "You were my whole life, and I was just your cover story." She walked out, leaving him calling her name. The rain started again, outside, soft at first, then heavy, washing away the last trace of their life together. She drove to the ocean, parked near the shore, the wind cold but freeing. She took off her ring, held it for a long moment, and let it fall into the waves, whispering goodbye to the woman who waited. And as the tide swallowed it, she finally felt something close to peace, not victory, not revenge, just an ending that belonged to her. Showered, dressed, neatly applied makeup, not for him, but to armor herself, she looked in the mirror and saw not a broken woman, but a quiet storm. She drove to his real office, pretending like it was a normal visit, brought him lunch, something she hadn't done in months. When she entered, he looked up, surprised, a flicker of guilt, maybe fear, or maybe she just wanted to believe it. He smiled, that same charming smile that once melted her heart. "Hey babe, what are you doing here?" She smiled back, perfectly calm. "Just thought I'd surprise you since you've been working so hard." He laughed, scratched the back of his neck. "Yeah, crazy week, right?" She placed the food on his desk, leaned in close, whispered, "You deserve flowers too." His smile froze for a split second, his eyes darted up, confused, but she just kissed his cheek and walked away, every step slow, deliberate. Outside, she felt her legs trembling, but her mind clear. That night she waited again, same time, same lie, same message. "Working late, love you." She drove back to the house, parked in the same spot, but this time she wasn't empty. She was ready. She watched from the dark as he arrived, flowers still on the table inside, laughter spilling from the windows. She saw the girl sitting on his lap, her fingers tracing his face. Emma's grip on the steering wheel tightened, but instead of confronting, she pulled out her phone, hit record. She filmed everything through the rain, the embrace, the kiss, the betrayal captured in the cold blue glow of her headlights. When he left hours later, she followed him back home. He entered quietly, kissed her forehead, pretending to be tired. She pretended too. She lay beside him as he drifted to sleep, listening to his shallow breathing, wondering how many times he'd come home smelling like rain and perfume. While she lay waiting in blind faith, in the morning, she made him breakfast, smiled like nothing was wrong, and asked about his day. He lied effortlessly. She nodded, took mental notes. The next morning came without light, the air heavy with a kind of stillness that feels like punishment. Emma woke to the echo of her own heartbeat, her pillow damp, her eyes swollen. The house too quiet. She moved through it like a stranger. Every picture on the wall felt like a lie, every promise frozen behind glass. She walked to the kitchen, poured herself coffee. Though she didn't taste it, her mind kept replaying last night, the image of Mark's arm around that woman, his laughter, the flowers, the jacket. Her chest burned with something between grief and rage. She opened her phone, saw a text from him. "Good morning, sweetheart. Heading to the office early. See you tonight." The audacity of it, the perfect calmness of his words, like nothing had changed. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. She wanted to scream and text, but something inside her said, no, not yet. She needed to see him break. She needed him to feel what she felt. She went upstairs, showered, dressed, neatly applied makeup, not for him, but to armor herself. She looked in the mirror and saw not a broken woman. The next morning came without light, the air heavy with a kind of stillness that feels like punishment. Emma woke to the echo of her own heartbeat, her pillow damp, her eyes swollen. The house too quiet. She moved through it like a stranger. Every picture on the wall felt like a lie, every promise frozen behind glass. She walked to the kitchen, poured herself coffee. Though she didn't taste it, her mind kept replaying last night, the image of Mark's arm around that woman, his laughter, the flowers, the jacket. Her chest burned with something between grief and rage. She opened her phone, saw a text from him. "Good morning, sweetheart. Heading to the office early. See you tonight." The audacity of it, the perfect calmness of his words, like nothing had changed. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. She wanted to scream and text, but something inside her said, no, not yet. She needed to see him break. She needed him to feel what she felt. She went upstairs. Without thinking, the city lights blurred into streaks of white and red. She didn't even feel the tears until her vision went hazy. She reached the address. The flowers had gone to a small two-story house. Cozy, warm lights behind the curtains. She parked across the street. The bouquet sat on the porch, and a woman maybe in her late 20s opened the door, smiled, picked them up, smelled them. She wore Mark's jacket, the same navy one he claimed to leave at work. Emma's hands clenched on the steering wheel. Her breath came in short bursts. She watched as the woman read the note, confusion flickering across her face. Then a man came into view. Mark, his laughter unmistakable. He wrapped an arm around the woman's waist, kissed her cheek so casually, so lovingly that it broke something deep inside Emma. She didn't cry, not yet. She just sat there, the rain beating against her windshield like applause for the cruelty unfolding before her eyes. After what felt like an eternity, she started the engine and drove home. Slowly, deliberately, the silence louder than any scream. She entered her house, stripped off her coat, and walked straight to their bedroom. His shirt was on the floor, the smell of his cologne still fresh. She sat on the bed and stared at the photo on the nightstand, their wedding day smiles, bright, full of promises. She whispered to herself. He said he was working late. And finally her tears came, shaking her body until she couldn't breathe anymore. The clock on the kitchen wall ticked slower than usual as Emma sat by the counter staring at her phone screen, the message still unread, the threes that never appeared mocking her silence. Her husband Mark had said he'd be working late again for the third night this week, his voice calm, his excuse perfect like always. But something about tonight felt heavier, emptier. The coffee she made had gone cold hours ago. The house smelled of rain and lavender, the kind of night that used to make them cuddle and talk about dreams, but now it was just her and the soft hum of loneliness. She opened his last text, just a simple, "Don't wait up, love you." And for the first time the words didn't sound like love, they sounded like goodbye. She scrolled through his social media, checked his work chat. His office had closed early for renovation, but he hadn't mentioned that. Her chest tightened. She called his number once, twice, no answer. Then suddenly a spark of madness or clarity, she didn't know which. She opened the Flower app, typed his office address, the one he always gave her, and ordered a bouquet of white lilies with a small note that said, "To my hardworking husband, with love from your wife." Her hands trembled as she hit confirm. She didn't even know why she did it. Maybe she just wanted him to feel seen. Maybe she wanted proof. When the confirmation email came through, she sighed. It was done. She sat there staring at the rain until her phone rang. The delivery driver, cheerful on the other side, said, "Ma'am, there's no office here, just a residential home." A woman opened the door, said she's waiting for Mark. "Should I leave the flowers with her?" The world seemed to stop. Her heart crashed into her ribs. She barely managed to say yes before hanging up, her fingers numb, her body frozen. The sound of thunder rolled through the sky like laughter, cruel and distant. She stood up, stumbled toward the living room. Her reflection in the mirror looked unfamiliar, pale, wide-eyed, like a ghost. She grabbed her keys, drove